ABC News Pentagon correspondent Hans Nichols joins me, and so does Jeremy Bash, an MSNBC national security analyst, also former chief of staff at the CIA and the Department of Defense under Leon Panetta. Good to have you, both of you with me here. Hans, let me start with you, sir. Those reports that some officials were surprised by the White House statement. What have you learned?
Well, initially last night around 10 o'clock when this story broke, we started reaching out to all of our sources here at the Pentagon, and we didn't get any guidance. Now, about 10 hours later, a little bit after that this morning, we started getting very firm guidance, and that is that the Pentagon had detected, through pretty solid intelligence, that they saw something at the Al-Sharat airfield. It's the same airfield that April 4th they launched that attack, and they saw very clearly something suggestive of intent to use chemical weapons. Now, basically, they're looking at one of these hangars shelter. They're saying they see some activity. It's in this very shelter. They think they store chemical munitions. It's the same shelter, one of several, that they hit on that April 7th strike. So from that, we've gone forward and we're trying to figure out just how close they might be towards an attack. And in the last couple hours, Craig, it seems like officials here are walking it back. They're saying this is a warning. This isn't a declaration of intent by the United States military to hit the Assad regime. But they clearly want to put them, and as Nikki Haley was saying, the Russians on notice. Craig?
Jeremy, first we had that statement via Twitter from Sean Spicer. Then we had the tweet by Ambassador Haley, followed up by the testimony this morning. How serious of a warning is this? And is it likely to deter the Assad government, even if it had planned to carry out an attack?
Well, I think it was an incredibly serious statement by the administration, Greg. It basically said that if Assad uses chemical weapons, that he would pay a heavy price. And that basically means that our military operation would hit not only the airfield that was hit back in April with 59 Tomahawk cruise missiles, but we would have to undertake a much more comprehensive bombing campaign to hit Assad's command and control and to really go after regime targets. That's the way I interpreted a heavy price. It can't be just a pinprick strike at one airfield one time.
This is Senator Chris Coons. He's a Democratic member of the Foreign Relations Committee. He was asked if President Trump has essentially drawn yet another line in the sand with his statement. Take a listen to what Senator Coons said.
It certainly suggests to me that they are preparing for another strike against Assad and that this was designed to be a red line statement. That's exactly the sort of thing that can be irresponsible or even dangerous if you make a very bright line statement without having laid out a strategy for backing it up and without consulting with congressional leaders.
Red lines as they relate to Syria haven't gone well for past administrations, Jeremy. Danger to issuing a warning like this?
Yeah, there is a danger, particularly if the president is unwilling to push Putin and the Russians out of the way. Don't forget, last Sunday, after a U.S. F-18 Navy war aircraft downed a Syrian Su-22 fighter, essentially Russia declared a no-fly zone and said U.S. aircraft cannot fly west of the Euphrates. So I don't even understand how we would undertake a military operation to deliver a heavy blow to Assad or make him pay a heavy price with Russia, in effect, having a no-fly zone in that area.
Well, logistics aside, I mean, in terms of its territorial sovereignty, how much latitude would the president have, or does the president have, Jeremy, when it comes to the kind of strike that we saw in April and I guess what could be a more sustained strike in the future?
Oh, look, I think he has latitude. The question is, what is the overall strategy? We've been told that we're in Syria to conduct operations against ISIS. My view is, and I think the emerging view is, that we're not going to make as much progress against ISIS as we want as long as Syrian fighters are firing on Syrian Defense Force, our allies on the ground that we've trained and equipped to go after ISIS. Essentially, I don't think we're going to finish off ISIS in Syria as long as Assad is in power. And that's why it's going to be critical that Assad goes, hopefully, through a political and diplomatic resolution. But that would require, again, pushing Russia out of the way and giving us more freedom of action to change the calculus on the battlefield.